I'm gonna show you guys, but we're outside and she's just like peeking. Later. God, Bella was just like, oh. She's a little bit stressed today. Awesome. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. If you guys don't know me yet, I am Megan and I'm on Instagram as Shebakesandlifts, and today we are going to talk about the booty, the peach, our glutes, with our gluteus maximus being the largest muscle in our body by volume. I'm going to be showing you guys how to properly target your glutes and the top 10 exercises you guys need to be doing to grow the booty. Just to show you guys, this was my glutes before I first started getting into the gym, before I got into weightlifting, and this was my glutes right before I started bulking last September 2018. And just about, this is my glutes just about a couple weeks ago when I first decided to start cutting. To be honest, I used to find it so hard to engage my glutes, to actually feel my glutes whenever I'm doing glute exercises. I would always feel it in my quads or in my hamstrings more, and so I'm gonna share with you guys my top 3 tips to really feel the best muscle glute engagement. I cannot stress how important it is to properly warm up before you start doing anything in the gym, whether it's leg day or upper day. Like, you cannot expect to come straight from work, get straight on to lifting heavy weights. Not only is that reckless, but you're not going to be getting the best out of your workouts. Number 1, proper warm-up and dynamic stretching. I cannot stress how important it is to properly warm up and do dynamic stretches before you get into your workouts. You cannot really expect to come straight from work, get to the gym, and lift heavy ass weights straight away. No. Not only is that reckless, but it also jeopardizes the effectivity of your actual workouts. You need to get on the Stairmaster, the treadmill, hop on the elliptical, do a light jog or skip rope, just to really get your muscles and your body to pump and warm up, and that increases actually the effectivity of our workouts, and it just feels overall better. I would personally say it gets me in the zone, it gets me pumped up, hyped up to actually lift heavier. I also prefer dynamic stretches over static stretches. A lot of studies have shown that dynamic stretches are more effective in getting your body ready and loose before lifting heavier. With dynamic stretches, the difference between dynamic stretches and static stretches is that with static stretches, those are the stretches that you sort of hold for anywhere from 15 to 30 seconds, whereas dynamic stretching, as the word dynamic says, you're constantly in movement, and this means lunging forward, twisting, rather than lunging and just holding the position for 30 seconds. Number 2 is glute activation exercises. Like I said, I used to feel it in everything except my glutes. And so when I started incorporating glute activation exercises or pre-activation drills with a resistance band or a hip circle, it has been a real game changer. And with glute activation, it doesn't take a long time. All you need is really 5 to 10 minutes after you warm up, and you could do anywhere from 4 to 5 exercises, do about 15 to 20 reps each for about 1 set. These are just our pre-activation drills. They're not meant to be working sets, so you want your muscles, your glutes to be fired up and to be awake, but you don't want to exhaust them because you want to save your energy and your glutes for your actual working sets where you're lifting heavy. And number 3 is having proper footwear. So this is a thing that is a small difference but has made a real big change in the way I kind of feel my glutes with a lot of exercises. A lot of people would buy lifting shoes, and that's totally fine, but sometimes they can be expensive. So what I would usually wear for my leg days is anything that's flat soled, and so these are Converse, Vans, Keds, whatever sort of goes better for you. For me personally, I stopped wearing like my Under Armour hover shoes. For other brands, like other people sometimes at the gym wear Nike Roshis, Adidas Ultra Boost. No, I don't like those ones, especially when it comes to leg day, just because the sole is a bit curved or has, you know, a little bit of like, I would say like support that I don't want. What I really want is flat soles that Converse Chucks has. That way when I'm driving through my heels and really pushing through my glutes when it comes to like squats, deadlifts, and hip thrusts, the surface is flat, and that allows me to get better contact on my glutes as I drive and push up. I know we're all on a quest to grow the booty, so with that top 3 tips set aside, let's get right on to the top 10 exercises. Starting off the top 10 with number 1, squats. I know a lot of studies have shown that squats aren't the best when it comes to really engaging our glutes and building stronger and bigger glutes, but I still think that it's something very important that everyone should be incorporating into their leg day. Squats are a great compound exercise, and when I say compound exercise, it's any exercise that works more than one muscle group at a time. And other compound exercises are your squats, your deadlifts, your bench press, your pull-ups, and generally I like to start any leg day with heavier squats because it is one of the exercises that I really like to challenge myself in terms of strength. Nothing excites me than seeing my numbers go up when it comes to squats. There are also a ton of variations when it comes to squats. You could do them on a wider stance with a narrow stance. Some people do them front squats wherein you're using more of your quads, and you could also do 1 3/4 squats and even the hack squat machine. Moving over to number 2, sumo deadlifts. Sumo deadlifts are pretty much like our conventional deadlifts, with the only difference between being the placement of our hands and of our legs. So with sumo deadlifts, we're putting with a wider stance when it comes to our legs, and with sumo deadlifts, I usually also like to start off any leg day with heavier sumo deadlifts, and that also allows me to actually feel my glutes more with a heavier weight versus with my pre-activation drills. With sumo deadlifts, you want to make sure that you're driving through your heels, especially as you pull the weight, and pausing and squeezing your bum at the top before returning the barbell back to the ground. Moving over to number 3, hip thrusts. So hip thrusts, these need no more introduction. If you guys are on the internet, you would have seen it already. It's all over Instagram and YouTube. It's been popularized by Brett Contreras, the glute and hip thrust master himself, and it's just great in really feeling our glutes. They also activate and use our quads and hamstrings, but to a much lesser degree, so a lot of the focus is isolated on our glutes. Hip thrusts are great not only for us ladies, but for everyone, men as well, who really want to add size to our glutes without putting on significant size to our other leg muscles as well. So basically with hip thrusts, we want to really make sure that we're pushing through our heels as we drive up, keeping a slight posterior tilt on our pelvis, and at the same time maintaining a forward glance as we drive up, and just really sort of like tucking our chin in. In the beginning, I would definitely recommend starting off with just body weight, making sure that you're nailing your form before you move on to adding light resistance bands, into heavier resistance bands, eventually to dumbbells, maybe a preloaded barbell, and eventually to a barbell with plates. And when you go heavier, make sure that you're using a barbell pad. I would definitely recommend getting one if your gym doesn't have one. I personally use my own barbell pad for hygienic reasons, and I just love having my own because I know that I'm using it. Sometimes the ones at our gym are heavily used and almost like cracking, or it doesn't have much cushioning anymore, and you really want to protect your hips, because in the past when I didn't, or I would use sort of like a mat and roll it, I would end up coming home with bruises. I know a lot of women, including myself, when I first started incorporating hip thrusts into my routine, it was a little awkward, sometimes intimidating, and hard to set up. I can actually share with you guys my whole setup in a separate video if that would help you guys in the future. But do whatever it is that will help you feel comfortable, whether it's doing it in a separate corner, whether it's starting off with dumbbells, whether it's doing it on a Smith machine. Do whatever it is that allows you to do the exercise without feeling uncomfortable. And trust me, nobody is going to tap you on the shoulder and ask you what the heck you're doing. And luckily enough, this exercise now is more popular, so a lot of people do know what it is. I've done it in the past, maybe like a year and a half ago, close to 2 years ago, and people at my gym would actually tap me and ask me what it was I was doing and if it's for the bum. And I was like, yes, it is. And sometimes they would actually ask me like mid-thrust, and you're just like, you know, your thingy is just like up there and they're like tapping you and asking you questions. So a big no-no. Number 4 is glute pull-throughs. If you find hip thrusts a bit awkward, I'm sorry, but the next one is a little bit awkward at the same time, but trust me, it is so good for the glutes. With cable pull-throughs, you want to make sure that you're really keeping your back straight, you're keeping your back neutral, and your feet is firmly placed on the ground. I personally like to assume a wider stance as I pull through and really squeezing my glutes hard at the top. I know it's not the best looking bum when you're squeezing. It kind of looks sometimes like a pruned up raisin, but trust me, you're getting your best glute engagement as well when you're doing these. Cable pull-throughs effectively isolate our glutes with each movement, but at the same time they also reinforce proper hip flexion and hinging movement that is similar to when we're deadlifting. It's great because it increases time under tension, eccentric muscle damage, and overall activation of our glutes and hamstrings as well. Number 5 is glute reverse hyperextensions. I'm simply doing a variation of reverse hyperextensions where both of my feet are off the bench and actually placed together instead of just hanging normally. If your gym has a if your gym has a reverse glute hyperextension machine, then that is awesome, but I know not a lot of gyms have that, especially smaller commercial gyms that a lot of you guys may be members in. So with this, don't worry about that. You can simply do these with a bench. With any reverse glute hyperextension, you want to make sure that your upper body is stable wherever you're holding onto. In this case, I'm holding onto a bench and I'm just trying my best to really squeeze my glutes and drive my legs up high as I can, trying to pause for a second before getting them back down. These not only work our glutes and our hamstrings, but also our posterior chain, which is essential in increasing our strength when it comes to moves like our squats and deadlifts. Next off are banded frog pumps. Banded frog pumps are a great spin or variation to glute bridges. If you find great activation on your glutes when it comes to glute bridges, you're gonna want to try these out. And if you guys haven't tried this out yet, I definitely recommend you guys to give this a go. Because your feet are touching each other on the ground, this eliminates our quads and our hamstrings from doing the work, thereby isolating our glutes, literally allowing our glutes to be the only ones that pumps us up. As always, adding resistance bands adds a little bit more resistance and allows our glutes to have more tension, but basically you want to make sure that you got your form nailed down before you add any more resistance bands. And with anything wherein you've added resistance bands, you want to make sure that your knees aren't caving in as you do the movement. You really want to sort of like push out with the band as you do each movement. Next off are reverse lunges. I love reverse lunges, or any lunge in particular. They used to be my worst enemy, but I've come to love them simply because I love how easy it is to prioritize or to emphasize a certain muscle group simply because of the stance or direction in which we're lunging. With reverse lunges, when we assume a longer stance or we take a bigger step back, we're recruiting more of our glutes and our hamstrings in each movement, whereas if we take a slightly shorter step or a smaller step back, we're utilizing more of our quads. With lunges, you want to make sure that you're doing full reps and not half reps, that we sometimes do when we're tired. When I say full reps, what I mean is that the leg that you have stepped back is close or almost touching the ground, and at the same time you want to make sure that the front leg is, your knee is aligned with your foot and it's not going past your toes. Next off is barbell split squats. With barbell split squats, I have so many memories of these. I first started doing them when I did BBG a while back. They still burn till today. I still hate them sometimes, but I've come to love them simply because of the activation that I feel in my glutes. Again, similar to lunges when I assume a slightly wider step back or stand. With barbell split squats, the easiest way to hold the weight, I would say, is either when you have the dumbbells on your sides, similar to what I'm doing in the video, or you could also carry them in sort of like a goblet squat way with dumbbells. I know that it's a lot easier for dumbbells, especially if they have like the bigger round things on the side. That way you could cup it easier, holding it close to your face and to your chest, keeping your chest up and your head up at the same time, and not like crouching or keeping your neck in a strain. She's back, guys. Like I had to like let her in because she was asking to go in and she was just like crawling and gnawing, but I'm gonna put her here. Okay, you guys, like she might just like stay for a while. Okay. With barbell split squats, you want to make sure that you're going as slow as your body permits, and the lower you go, the more you could target your quads and your glutes effectively. And with barbell split squats, please make sure that the foot that you have placed back is resting on something that is very stable. I've seen some girls who put it on dumbbells at times and just like stumble on it, so you really want to make sure that your foot that's placed back is stable on a bench or a box or anything sturdy. Next off are single leg deadlifts. These are a great spin from regular deadlifts, and it is another single leg or unilateral exercise wherein you could work on any muscular imbalances. With single leg deadlifts, make sure you're really engaging your core as you go down. If it's your first time doing them, you could hold on to something for support. You could do them body weight first before you sort of like get the hinging movement down to a T before adding in any significant weight. You want to make sure that you have a slight bend in the knee that's forward and that you're really hinging at the hips, keeping your back neutral as you go down and back up. I definitely had a hard time with these in the beginning, but through time, as my legs generally got stronger by doing other leg exercises like leg presses, conventional deadlifts, and sumo deadlifts, you'll see the more you'll see changes with your left and your right legs separately. The more they get stronger and the more you're able to do these. And single leg deadlifts were actually very helpful to me eventually nailing a pistol squat as well. I know a lot of you guys are working on to doing pistol squats, and I think single leg deadlifts are a great way to gather up strength to prepare you to be able to nail a pistol squat. Last but not the least are glute bridges. So glute bridges are great not only for pre-activation drills, but I also like using them on my actual working sets. For my actual working sets, I usually add in a barbell and add in some plates on the side, as similar to like hip thrust, it's one of those movements that I try to challenge myself as well, in terms of strength and being able to manage heavier weights. It may take you a while and a little bit of adjusting to find the stance that you're most comfortable with. Sometimes depending on the stance that you take, you will feel it more in your hamstrings rather than in your glutes. So make sure that your legs aren't too far away from your body, because the farther away it is from your body, the more you're using your hamstrings. And there you guys have it, my top 10 exercises that I feel you need to be doing to grow the booty. Like I said, there are a ton of variation when it comes to any glute or leg exercise, and while it's great to variate from time to time, I wouldn't recommend reinventing your routine or your program too often. You really want to make sure that you're sticking to a program for at least 3 to 4 weeks before changing things up. That way you can really see the results that come out from a specific program. The best thing you could do is to really stick with something, carry it out, have the patience to see it through, and trust me, you will see results that way. Just keep in mind that these are some of the tips and form techniques that have allowed me to get the best bang for my buck when it comes to training glutes, when it comes to leg day. You guys know that leg day is my absolute favorite, so I don't joke around when it comes to leg day. If you guys have any questions or suggestions, leave a comment down below, and make sure to like this video and subscribe if you haven't yet, and if you have, thank you so much. Also head on over to my Instagram at Shebakesandlifts. I do post on Instagram every single day, and there you will find more workout tips, more workout videos, and I respond to DMs faster than I might do here on YouTube. I'm also doing my best to put out 2 videos every single week on Tuesdays and Thursdays, so definitely subscribe if you like this video so that you don't miss another video as soon as it comes out. I really hope that this video helps you guys and allows you to feel more contact in your glutes. If it has helped you guys, feel free to give a shout out on Instagram. I love it every time you guys tag me in your workout videos or tell me how it goes. So with that ado, I'm gonna keep this video short, and happy glute building, guys. Until next time.